Welcome to the Waelderhaus, a house in the woods. I'm Laura Kohler, and this beautiful building stands as a tribute to the architectural and artistic traditions of the Bregenzerwald. My great-grandfather, John Michael Kohler, came to America as a boy from the Bregenzerwald region in the Alps of Western Austria. The steep slopes, rushing streams, and traditional log structures remain very much the same today as they were a century ago. The picture-perfect landscape dictates a demanding way of life, one that is connected to the land, the geography, the place, in a way that is rare in the 21st century. Steep slopes offer limited pastures that can sustain only the smallest herds of 10 to 15 cows. Although dairy farming and cheese making remain valued occupations, tourism has become the region's primary source of income.
Very hard to exist with our, because we are little farmers, but we have some tourism here, and so it's possible to live. Otherwise we were too little farmers, so we could not live in the EU with only 10, 11 cows. In this valley all the farmers have another job. The most farmers are in the winter work at the ski lift or as a ski instructor, and the most of them have some guests in the house. They have some apartments or some beds for rent for the guest.
European tourists come to ski in winter, to hike in summer, and to sample the artisanal cheeses all year long. Many tourists come to discover their roots in a land where family traditions are handed down generation to generation. My own family comes from a long line of farmers and cheesemakers here in the Bregenzerwald. John Michael Kohler, who founded the Kohler Company in 1873, came to America as a 10-year-old boy. He never made the journey back to his Alpine homeland, but his children, particularly his daughters, Lily, Evangeline, and Marie-Christine, and his son, Herbert Sr., would make many visits and rediscover the rich cultural heritage of the Bregenzerwald. One of the region's most striking and truly unique traditions is its architecture. A traditional Waelderhaus, literally a forest house, is a form characterized by the use of native materials in the construction of a house barn. House and barn are attached for very practical reasons. During the very long, hard winters, the farmer did not need to go outdoors to tend to his animals, and the heat from the barn helped to keep the house warm. Traditionally, the barn is at the rear of the building and the living quarters occupy the front of the building. The beautifully crafted structures are a unique blend of form and function, extremely practical and yet fully realized aesthetically. A classic example of this traditional style is the home of the Albrechts in the village of Schöppernau, called the Rüssli. The Rüssli, which means little horse, was built in the 18th century and refurbished in 1938 when running water was added for the first time. With its striking views of the valley and surrounding mountain peaks, in particular the Diedemskopf ski hill, the Rüssli has been operated as a guest house and is meticulously maintained by Lily Albrecht Felder, a descendant of the original owners. The fruits of the alpine forest are evident in every exterior and interior detail, from the artistry of the furnishings and carvings to the traditional shrine in the family room.
Der Herrgottswinkel ist überall gesehen. Früher ist, das kannst du nicht übersetzen, das Herz Jesu und das Herz Maria links und rechts gesehen, oder?
Yeah. Yes, kann ich übersetzen. In earlier times, you had a shrine in every house. It's been in the living room, and you always had two pictures attached to the cross in the middle. That would be the heart of Jesus on the left side and the heart of Saint Mary on the right side.
The Rüssli offers exquisite examples of the traditional log construction using squared fir timbers, hand-painted enamel tile stoves, windows delicately draped with lace curtains inside and adorned with carefully tended flower boxes outside, gardens that delight with color and form. It is the rich cultural heritage which influenced John Michael Kohler's children who visited the Bregenzerwald. An accomplished educator and social worker, Marie-Christine Kohler, my great-aunt, was inspired by her visits to the Rüssli and the villages of the Bregenzerwald. After one particular visit in 1927, Marie-Christine was moved to spearhead the creation of an authentic Waelderhaus here on the banks of the Sheboygan River. Marie-Christine's intention was to create a perfect representation of a traditional Waelderhaus in honor of her father. The impressive building's practical purpose would be to serve the Girl Scouts as their meeting place. It was her dream to preserve the grand tradition of artistry and craftsmanship for future generations. Marie-Christine enlisted the help of Caspar Albrecht, a well-known Austrian sculptor and architect whose childhood home was also in the Bregenzerwald. An Albrecht family home in the village of Au still serves as a lovely and comfortable home with many of the original elements of this unusual architectural design. The drying pegs above the enamel tile stove and warming bench below continue to serve their function for a family today, and the original hand-carved furnishings still grace the rooms. Caspar Albrecht attended art school in Munich and received the degree of academic sculptor from the Academy of Liberal Arts in Vienna. During World War I, Albrecht was seriously wounded and returned to the Bregenzerwald to recuperate. When the war ended, he found work designing war memorials and launched his career as artist and architect. Albrecht's work is representative of the quality of workmanship and artistry which exemplifies the Bregenzerwald. Many examples of his work can be seen in the region's villages, including sculptures, paintings, carvings, and shrines. A number of chapels commissioned by the Catholic Church are still in use. After a lengthy period of correspondence between Marie-Christine and Caspar Albrecht regarding plans for the building, it seemed only practical to invite Albrecht to come to America to see to the construction personally. Caspar Albrecht agreed to come to Sheboygan in 1930 and spent 2 years designing and supervising the construction of the Waelderhaus. Albrecht handpicked 9 men from Kohler village who had the level of craftsmanship required to help him execute his designs. Great efforts were made to acquire authentic building materials. The Waelderhaus is built entirely of squared fir timbers in keeping with the style of the Bregenzerwald. Materials that could not be acquired here in America, such as the traditional tile stove or Kachelofen, were painstakingly shipped from the Bregenzerwald. Albrecht's hand is evident in every aspect of the Waelderhaus, from his own carvings, woodcuts, and wrought iron artwork to the signature decor, even the tapestries and window treatments. The Waelderhaus was completed in 1931 and dedicated by the governor of Wisconsin, John Michael Kohler's son, Walter J. Kohler, on July 26, 1931.
In the spirit of practical idealism combined with a purpose of preserving a beautiful and valuable tradition, my sister has caused this unique building to be erected in this charming, natural setting to serve as the meeting place of the Girl Scouts of Kohler Village. It is a fitting thing and a satisfaction to the family that the Waelderhaus is dedicated to the memory of our father, John Michael Kohler. The tradition which it embodies is the tradition of his childhood home in the Bregenzerwald. The practical ideals which the building is to serve are in keeping with his conception of work, recreation, and the arts as essential elements of life.
The Waelderhaus in America is more traditional than the now built houses in the Bregenzerwald.
As you tour the Waelderhaus, take note of its many authentic details and notice how closely it represents the traditions of the Bregenzerwald. Willkommen zum Waelderhaus. Welcome to the house in the woods.